Hey guys, welcome back. Now, let's be honest, the last 4 months in crypto has not been great. We've had 4 long, boring months of sideways consolidation with numerous fake outs and fake downs. And so the question is, what is going on? Have we already seen the biggest gains of this cycle? Or maybe there's another 4 months of boring, long sideways consolidation? Well, the big news that all crypto investors need to know is this. Although it may not feel like it, we are still, in fact, early in this big bull market phase. And this is great news because all of the big moves that we've seen so far have just been the warm-ups to the main event. And we still have time to tweak our portfolios, get in or out of the market, and it's likely 2025 where everything goes bananas. And so in this video, I'll be sharing the 5 reasons why we're still very early and why the biggest, most explosive moves are still yet to come. Okay, so first up, starting with number 1, and it's looking at what is going on with trading volumes on exchanges. Starting with number 1, and actually before we go to the exchanges, we're just going to take a look at Google Trends for the search term Bitcoin. So essentially this is all the people who are using Google to search on the term Bitcoin, and it gives us a great idea of what is going on, especially with retail. However, institutions will also be Googling that term as well. So what do we see? Well, Google put it into these percentages, so 25, 50, 75, and 100%. And we can see the actual peak that happened when it comes to interest in the crypto market. It happened in 2021. So this is 3 years ago that it was still way higher than where we're at today. And in fact, as of right now, at the time of this recording, we are on this 25% mark. So 3 years ago, it was 3 times higher. So this is the first indicator that shows we are still very, very early. And by 2025, we should be way up here, and it should make the previous mountain of a cycle look more like a molehill. So the fact that we're still all the way down here, this is your first indicator that we're still very early. Number 2. Now we're going to take a look and see at the trading volume, so the buys and the sells, what's going through the big crypto exchanges each and every month. Now this goes back to 2017 and it includes Binance, Upbit, OKX, Huobi, Coinbase, and 34 others. And very interestingly, it gives a very similar picture to what's going on in Google Trends. So we can see the largest trading volumes were all happening 2021. So this would be the equivalent of 2025. And it peaked out, breaking a $4 trillion record in this month, 2021. And where are we right now? Well, we're all the way down to about 1 trillion. So amazingly, it's matching up with Google Trends pretty much exactly. It was 3 times higher 3 years ago, and likely for the rest of this year, it's going to start building, and then it's 2025 where it should be at least 2 to 3 times higher than this peak. So you'll be looking at least about 8 trillion, which is probably where this purple line is up here. So until we're getting peaks up here, making the previous cycle look small, again, we are still very early. We're all the way down here. And everything we've seen so far is just warm up to the main event that's coming. Number 3. Now, hopping over to the actual price charts, this is Bitcoin USD, And if we look at it on a daily time frame, as mentioned, it's extremely volatile, really uncertain where we go next. Is it going to break down? Is it going to break out? Lots of uncertainty. However, we're going to get the true perspective by zooming out to the weekly. And what do we see? Well, this sideways consolidation is still below the previous cycle's all-time high. So again, the race has not even started. We're just consolidating around the previous all-time high. And as mentioned, this next cycle will likely be 2 times, if not 3 times higher than this level. So you're looking at Bitcoin 140,000 to over 200,000. And consolidating around the previous cycle, this is what happened if we go back and we can see what the equivalent would be. So this is the previous cycle's high, which looks tiny in comparison, but when you actually knock out those highs, as you can see at the time, this was a massive run. So we've gone through crypto winter. Similarly, they had this massive early run, which meant long sideways, boring consolidation. In fact, this is not even sideways, this is going down. Obviously, there was COVID, which we can try to scrub out as a one-time anomaly. And then we're consolidating, which is pretty much what happened here, consolidating at the previous all-time high. So this is the equivalent of where we are right now looking at the last cycle. And then what happened? The crypto market went bananas and we got the full cycle, making the previous all-time high, what once was a big mountain, now becomes a molehill. And it's not just Bitcoin that's below its all-time high. Ethereum still well below its all-time high. We look at Solana, still well below its previous all-time high. Coinbase still well below its previous all-time high, and is pretty much the same when you look at the vast majority of altcoins. Yet another signal saying the big bull market really hasn't even started yet. Number 4. Now, with the Bitcoin conference that went just last week, we had BlackRock come to the stage and give their opinion on the market. So here's a quick 1-minute clip of BlackRock also explaining that we are still very early.
Obviously, it's exciting when you launch something and it meets and even exceeds the very high demand expectations that we had for it. I think the interesting thing, though, James, it's very early. That's what a lot of people don't realize is if you think about our iShares business and the 3 main channels that we ultimately have as sort of client segments, the first is end investors direct, and that spans everything from small dollar retail to even high net worth, ultra high net worth, investing on their own accord. Then you have wealth advisory, and then you have institutional. And of those 3, the first being end investors direct came storming out of the gates. January 11th, they showed up. The demand was immense. It has continued in many respects for the last 6 months with pretty robust flows. But when we talk about wealth advisory and institutional, those are much longer journeys, and we're still only partway down that track. And effectively, none of the large wealth advisory platforms today have yet gotten to that point of offering IBIT or the other Bitcoin ETFs on a solicited basis. Many of the largest platforms are accelerating their efforts to do so, but we still actually haven't had the first major platform get there.
So there's another wave coming, is what you're saying.
And finally, number 5, and another way we can look at things is through the 4-year cycle. So as we know, crypto so far has been giving us these 4-year cycles. And in fact, of the 4 years, once it's peaked, there is 1 year where it just comes down and bottoms. So as far as things going up, it's actually only 3 years. Then of the 3 years, it takes about a year and a half to get to the halving. So this is a good halfway point, and then another year and a half to get to the peak. So although when it comes to the actual midway point, which is around the halving, we are actually past the midway point, when it comes to the vast majority of the gains, it comes at the very end, in the last 6 months. So when it comes to the epic, crazy, greed-fueled runs that we get in crypto, we are in fact still early. So a chart that I've updated, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite charts, is this, and a nice one to finish on. So essentially, this is the 2017 chart in the background, just showing that from halving to peak, the last 2 times it's been 18 months. And because we had our last halving in April, this means if it's a 12-month cycle, which I think is not very likely, looking at everything going on, it will finish here. And if we repeat for the 3rd time an 18-month cycle, it's going to be October 2025 where we get the absolute blow off top. So based on all of this, this is where we're at right now, just about to start going into August. So as you can see, another indicator saying that this is all just the warm-up to the main event. There might still be some choppiness sideways or even down flush outs in the next month or 2. However, once we get to Q4, things are really going to start going, especially if Trump gets in November. I think this is where it kicks off, but it's 2025 where we're going to get the craziness of the crypto market. So as you can see, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite charts to just put everything into perspective. So if you're feeling stressed right now or worried with all this crazy up and down movements that's going on right now, hopefully this alleviates some of the pain and puts things into perspective. We are still very early. Let's be honest, the last 4 months in crypto has not been great. However, the good news is that we're still very early in the bull market phase. We just saw that Google's search volume is still a fraction of the last cycle. Exchange volumes are still a fraction of the last cycle. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins are still below where they were in the last cycle. BlackRock confirmed we are still very early. Then US interest rates are still yet to begin coming down. The US hasn't even started their next liquidity cycle yet, and by the way, this is something they must do to pay for this ridiculous amount of debt they keep accumulating. So really, anyone with a crypto portfolio right now, don't worry, we are still very early, and it's likely 2025 where we get the notorious banana zone, where we get these crazy greed-fueled crypto rallies that make crypto famous. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now, hopefully this alleviates some stress or anxiety that you may have been feeling at the minute with all this boring sideways consolidation, whether right now the market is going up or going down. And finally, remember, we still have time to tweak, increase, reduce, buy in, or get out of the crypto market and bank the gains you've already made if that is your position. Now, if you've got any questions or comments, then simply post them below. However, just remember, to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments, we are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.